Have you ever noticed how often we're told to try something new? A new supplement, a new restriction, a new rule about what not to eat. Especially after 60, it can feel like your body has become a project, something that constantly needs adjusting, fixing, correcting. But what if healing doesn't begin with something new at all? What if healing begins with remembering, not remembering facts, but remembering what your own body has been quietly trying to say for years? There was a time in your life, maybe decades ago, when you didn't overthink food. You ate when you were hungry. You stopped when you were full. You reached for warm soup when you were tired, a cold orange when the heat got to you. You didn't consult an app. You consulted your senses. That wisdom hasn't left you. It's still there, buried under years of noise. The question isn't, what's the perfect new diet? The question is, can I still hear what my body is saying? Because beneath every craving, every hesitation is a message. And the older we get, the more sacred those messages become. One, reconnection through a question. Marianne never planned to give up. At 74, she was still determined to find the right fix, the right food, the right way back to feeling like herself again. She had notebooks full of rules: low carb, high fiber, no sugar after 3 p.m., protein with every meal. She followed them like scripture, measured, tracked, substituted. She even stopped eating with her family because it was too tempting. But she wasn't healing. She was shrinking, not in size, but in spirit. Her gut felt tense. Her cravings confused her. She no longer knew if she was hungry, tired, or just lost inside her own rules. One afternoon, standing in front of the fridge, hands resting on the cool door handle, she didn't reach for anything. She just stood there, staring into a space filled with shoulds. And out of nowhere, a sentence rose up, not from her mind, but from somewhere softer. What would truly nourish me right now? It wasn't a command. It was a whisper. She blinked, closed the fridge, made a cup of broth, sat in the sun and drank it slowly. No distractions, no guilt. The next day she asked again. Sometimes the answer was a bowl of soup. Sometimes a spoon of yogurt with cinnamon. Sometimes it was a walk. Sometimes it was a nap. Because what she began to realize was that her hunger wasn't always for food. Sometimes it was for quiet, for grounding, for care. That question, asked not with anxiety but with gentleness, became her way back. Not what's right, but what's real, she told me once. Not what I should eat, but what I can receive with kindness. And slowly, her digestion improved. The bloating eased. She ate slower, fewer snacks, fewer cravings. Not because she forced anything, but because she was finally listening. Marianne didn't need a new diet. She needed a new question. And that one question, asked again and again, became a compass back to her body's truth. There's a language your body speaks that doesn't use words. It hums beneath every craving. It pulses under your skin before every meal. You felt it once, before the rules got louder. There was a time when hunger came like a whisper. You didn't need a clock. You didn't need a calorie chart. You just knew. And fullness? It wasn't a number on a screen. It was a softness in the belly, a breath that slowed, a quiet satisfaction that said, "That's enough for now." Your body hasn't forgotten that. It's just been talked over. Every eat this, not that. Every meal skipped out of guilt. Every time you kept eating because the plate wasn't empty yet, even though you were. Those moments blur the lines, not because your body is broken, but because it's been waiting for silence. Biologically, your hunger and fullness cues are built into you. They were there long before diets. Hormones like ghrelin rise when you need fuel. Leptin signals fullness when the tank is topped. They're part of your original wiring, like breath, like instinct, like rhythm. But the more you override them, the quieter they become. Not gone, just curled up in the corner, waiting for you to ask again, what do I really feel right now? And when you do, when you eat with attention, pause with presence, breathe before deciding, those cues return, sometimes slowly, sometimes suddenly, but always with gratitude. Because your body is not against you. It's not confused. It's just waiting to be included again in the conversation. What if eating well wasn't about following rules, but about returning to rhythm? Not a perfect menu, but a quiet agreement between you and your body that says, let's feel better, softly. That's the heart of gentle nourishment, not punishment, not subtraction, but small additions that bring the body back to balance. You don't have to give up everything you love. You don't have to measure, restrict, or erase the joy from your plate. You only have to begin asking one small question. Does this make me feel steady? And from that question, a new pattern begins to form. Not from force, but from feedback. Maybe it's starting your day with oats and ground flaxseed, because they make your belly feel calm and grounded. Maybe it's adding avocado to your toast, because the healthy fats carry you farther into the afternoon. Maybe it's cooking with olive oil instead of fearing it, because your body recognizes real nourishment when it sees it. No more shame for eating, no more anxiety over slipping. Just small, supportive choices, added one by one, until your meals become something you trust again. And as you do that, something else begins to shift beneath the surface. Because every time you include fiber-rich vegetables, a handful of berries, a spoon of fermented yogurt, you're not just feeding yourself, you're feeding them. The trillions of microbes in your gut that quietly support your memory, your focus, your mood, and even your immune system. They don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to show up with something real, something alive, something gentle. So let it be simple. Add, don't subtract, soften, don't strain, heal, not by controlling more, but by trusting more. Number 2, mirror through journaling. Rosa never saw herself as someone who needed a food journal. She wasn't counting anything. She just wanted to understand why her body kept speaking in discomfort. I wasn't trying to track calories, she told me. I was trying to track honesty. Each morning, after breakfast, she'd open a small notebook, navy blue, corner slightly torn, and write 1 or 2 lines, not about nutrients or macros, just about how she felt. Oatmeal with apples, steady. Coffee on an empty stomach, jittery, breathless. Late dinner, full but restless. It didn't take long before the notebook began to talk back. She started seeing patterns her memory had blurred. That heavy meals past 8 p.m. always stole her sleep. That skipping lunch made her irritable. That soup, no matter what kind, always made her feel safe. She wasn't judging herself. She was witnessing herself. And from that quiet witnessing, trust began to rebuild. Not just with food, but with her own signals. My gut, she said, used to feel like a stranger I had to manage. Now it feels like a friend I get to care for. There was no sudden transformation, no magical meal that fixed everything. But over weeks, her bloating softened. Her cravings lost their urgency. Her pace at the table slowed. She chewed more. She tasted more. And, perhaps most importantly, she stopped asking permission to enjoy food again. Because in writing things down, she wasn't looking for perfection. She was looking for a relationship, and she found it. One quiet line at a time. There's something beautiful that happens when an older woman begins to trust her body again. It's not loud, no one claps, but the people around her, they notice. Rosa never told her daughter what she was doing, never explained the journal, or the reason she stopped eating standing up, or why she'd sit by the window a few minutes after each meal, hands resting lightly on her belly, just breathing. But one day, her daughter started doing the same, and months later, her granddaughter, barely 13, asked for her own little notebook, not for math, but for keeping track of what feels nice. That's legacy. Not in genetics, not in grand lessons, but in small choices, repeated with tenderness until someone else picks them up without even realizing it. It's not about passing down a diet plan. It's about passing down a rhythm, one that says, it's okay to trust your body. It's okay to eat with presence. It's okay to be soft with yourself. And maybe healing in the end isn't something we do just for ourselves. Maybe it's something we do out loud so others feel safe doing it too. So now I invite you, not to change your whole life, but to notice. Notice what feels grounding, what meals leave you clearer, not heavier, what pace of eating lets you breathe easier. Notice when your body says yes, and when it whispers, please, not that again. Let those moments be your map, not to perfection, but to peace. Because healing isn't a destination, it's a return to signals you used to trust, a return to the quiet knowledge you've always carried, a return to the most sacred rhythm of all, your own. You don't have to explain your healing to anyone. You don't have to prove it, measure it, or post it. You just have to feel it, in the way your breath slows when you eat without shame, in the way your body responds to kindness faster than to rules. That's enough. That's where the real work happens. Not in the plan, but in the permission. Was there ever a moment, a meal, a memory, a habit that made you feel truly connected to your body, even just for a few minutes? Share it in the comments. Your story might help someone else begin to remember their own. If this kind of soft healing speaks to you, healing that isn't loud but lasting, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Healthy Aging Hub. We create these gentle spaces for people like you who are ready to stop fixing and start listening. You're not behind, you're just coming home.